need to read it the second time.
He hasn't changed, Johnny. Never will. He's a rat. He's cynical, he's suspicious, he's always trying to find out the worst things about people. And the thing that gets me, Johnny, he doesn't need facts to back him up. Man! I tried to warn Mary, but she...
Well, when Mary is determined to see the good in someone, she sees it whether it's there or not.
Finelli's fooled others before her.
Yeah, well, the truth's out in the open now, I'll tell you.
Who's out in the open? What's going on?
Mr. Finelli's written a column about Frank.
What did he say?
It isn't what he said, so much as the way he said it. Listen to this. Each election year, there spring forth newcomers to the political arena. Candidates untouched by all the political corruption that has gone before them. They are, for the most part, articulate and personable, open-faced and clear-eyed and dedicated to the common good.
Well, that doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah, well, you better sit down for a minute, Mary.
One of the more promising of the current crop of youthful would-be public saviors is Frank Ryan of Riverside, currently running for city council. On the surface, Ryan possesses more than the usual credentials. Hero cop, graduate of Knight Law School, leader of a popular movement to preserve a section of low-cost housing.
But that's all true.
But unfortunately, Ryan has already been revealed as another politician who will not or cannot answer questions that are clearly of the greatest public interest.
What questions?
Well, he goes on to say about Frank visiting the hospital, asking for Szabo, and makes it sound like some kind of conspiracy. Listen to this. Once, during the early days, while his family and well-wishers maintained a vigil at his bedside, Ryan murmured a few words. One word in particular stood out. It was pushed. During the days that followed, all appreciated the horror that one word suggested. All waited for an explanation. But when Ryan did regain consciousness, he claimed a convenient lapse of memory, and no explanation has been forthcoming. Instead, he insists he has no recollection of the events leading up to the accident in the hospital stairwell. Now, what happened on that staircase? Was Frank Ryan pushed? And if so, by whom? And at whose orders? Read the rest yourself.
I owe you all such an apology.
Mary, you didn't know.
You tried to tell me and I wouldn't listen. Mother, and I owe you all an apology.
No, darling, no.
Not just because I was pig-headed, but because I trusted him. And I was the one who told him about Pushed. Well, I got some other things to tell him now.
Mary, wait.
No, John, let her go.
I should go with her.
No, she has to do this by herself.
Hi. I was wondering if the bar is open and if you're above letting your brother cadge a drink from you.
Oh, sure. Come on.
Delighted.
Help yourself.
Well, can I get you anything?
Yes. It won't help, but yes. Scotch.
I don't know if there's anything in the world that a good stiff drink won't help.
You haven't seen the paper.
No, I didn't get by the race results. They depressed me, and I came looking for you.
Jack Finelli's written a column about Frank. And underneath all the pretentious comments, it is mean and cruel and spiteful.
That sounds pretty bad.
Oh, it is, believe me. Actually, it is typical. It is the work of an angry little boy.
Somehow I don't look at Jack Finelli that way.
I know him better than you do.
Well, I can't argue that. Well, what else did he say?
Oh, the whole column is a series of questions he claims Frank hasn't answered.
Questions? What sort of questions?
Well, most of them are the have you stopped beating your wife variety. Well, here, wait a minute. Listen. When Ryan was found in the hospital stairwell, he was carrying $6,500 in cash in $100 bills. Ryan claims that he was in the process of transferring money from his personal savings account to his campaign fund. But a nagging question remains. Why in cash? We are a nation only too familiar with envelopes filled with $100 bills. Now, that is rotten.
Yeah.
Oh, now, wait a minute, I'm not finished. Why didn't Ryan transfer the $6,500 in cash into check form, if he was going to transfer it at all?
Does he say anything else about the money?
No. Only that it disappeared mysteriously while Frank was unconscious in the emergency room. I mean, the only thing that Finelli doesn't suggest is that Frank stole that money.
That's pretty bad news.
It's all suspicion and innuendo. But the problem is, Jack is clever. So it sounds awful, and now that could hurt Frank in the election in November.
Well, maybe everyone hasn't seen it.
Oh, everyone has seen it. Everybody's going to be talking about it.
Gambling, boss. I'm a reputable businessman.
Now, don't bounce around like that, Nick.
And I try not to get upset when some aggressive young assistant DA gets his name in a paper by accusing me of every unsolved crime in Upper Manhattan. But being dragged into a thing like this is something
Listen
else.
to me, Nick. Your back has just begun to heal. Now, if you twist...
Now, wait a minute. Just listen. Most politicians wisely avoid any contact with reputed members of organized crime. Why did Ryan visit alleged gambling boss Nick Szabo earlier on the day of the accident? Was it really to visit an old family friend, to refuse a campaign contribution, or was there another reason for that visit? Bananas.
There's nothing you can do about it, Nick.
I want my doctor. I want Roger Coleridge.
Now, what'd you do? You pulled something? Come on, what's the matter?
What's the matter is I want Roger, and I want him now. Find him for me.
Okay, I'll check the out list and see if he left a phone number.
You find him and tell him I'm asking for him. Tell him to get back here on the double.
I just wish your friend Finelli...
He's not my friend.
Well, your ex-friend. I wish he hadn't written that column.
I'm just wondering if Frank saw it yet.
Probably. I'm sure everyone whose name is in that article will read it sooner or later.
You seem pretty upset about this. Excuse me. Hello?
Hello, Jillian. Is Roger there?
Sure, Clem, just a moment. It's for you.
Thanks. Hello?
Hello, Roger. You in the middle of anything?
No, not really.
Nick Szabo's asking for you. He seems to want to see you right away.
Well, I guess I could come by the hospital for a minute.
Okay, I'll tell him you're on your way.
Sure. I was kind of expecting his call.
Who is it?
Mary Ryan.
Hello? Come on in.
Why'd you do it, Jack?
I thought we agreed it's my job to ask questions.
Honest questions, Finelli.
There was nothing in that story that I hadn't asked you, or that I didn't give Frank a chance to answer.
But you either ignored what he told you or distorted what he said.
That's not so, Mary. When you start sifting through all those careful words, you'll find your brother didn't say much of anything.
He told you all he knew.
I didn't believe him.
And you wrote a story so nobody else is going to believe him either.
Who are you really mad at? Me for asking the questions? Or Frank for not being able to answer them?
A couple of months ago, you went up to Riverside to get a story on Frank's campaign. And everybody warned me, Jack. Mother, Da, Roger, Bob. They all said you couldn't be trusted. But I was too dumb to listen.
I never said you could trust me to write some kind of promotion piece on Frank Ryan. I said you could trust me to write the truth.
But you didn't. You strung together a lot of questions so that anyone who reads them and doesn't know Frank has to think he's up to his ears in bribery, payoffs, and violence, and you know that is not true.
How do I know it?
Oh, Jack.
All I know is what your brother told me, and it doesn't add up. If he had reasonable explanations for why he'd gone to see Nick, how he came to be at the bottom of that staircase with $6,500 in cash in his pocket, there wouldn't have been anything to write.
He did explain it, but you won't believe him. Why?
Mary, this city's in a lot of trouble right now. One of the reasons is that some of the people who are responsible for making it run are stupid, self-serving, and corrupt. Now, when someone says, I want to hold public office in the city of New York, I say I have the right to satisfy myself that he's none of those things.
I'm not even going to argue with you about that. I am questioning the way you went about it. Furthermore, on a personal level, I'm questioning a lot of things that happened between you and me.
Maybe you better tell me about that.
I don't know whether you kept on with the story because you were hanging out with me, or if you were hanging out with me in order to keep on with the story. But either way, I feel a little bit used.
How about I liked you? And I liked being with you. At the same time, I happened to be researching a story about Frank.
Because I don't think you could like me and write a story like that about somebody that I love.
Oh, Mary, I'm disappointed in you. I really am.
You're disappointed in me.
You're saying that you're not going to care about me if I'm going to do my job the way it should be done. And I resent it.
No more than I resent this cheap piece of yellow journalism that you've written about my brother.
Hello, Nick. How's it back? Clem just called and said you were asking about me.
Was I now? Now, why would I want to see you at a time like this?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know. Would you like 3 guesses?
Are you mad at me about something?
You could say that. Roger, I put contracts out on people being less angry than I am at this very moment.
Listen, Nick, it's just all suspicion and innuendo. Finelli doesn't know anything, and I didn't give him anything.
Oh, you dumb bunny. You pathetic excuse for what?
Finelli didn't connect you with the $6,500. And I don't understand how your name got mixed up in it.
You knew Frank was here to see me about you. He knew you were in over your head, and he wanted me to cut off your credit. And now, thanks to you, I'm mixed up with a cop, an ex-cop, and politician.
Nick, please, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, a lot of good that does me. Roger, you never mentioned you were borrowing that money you owed me from Frank Ryan, did you?
Okay, I didn't. But he was here in the hospital with the money when he had the accident. That's why I took the money out of the emergency room, because it was intended for me in the first place. Now, he said he wasn't going to say anything.
You might have waited until he woke up.
But how could I? Herbie was after me, and I already had 2 broken toes.
You owe me, Roger. You owe me for this.
Everything's going to be all right. It's all going to blow over. I told Frank about the money, and he's not going to say anything to anyone. After what Finelli wrote, Frank's not going to say anything.
Finelli's got a lot of questions in that article, and I've got some questions, too.
Nick, why don't we just let things cool off?
Roger, why was Frank lending you $6,500?
We were friends.
You and Frank?
Sure. Since we were kids and our fathers are friends.
And out of the goodness of his heart, because of his long and lasting friendship, Frank was giving you that kind of money to pay off a gambling debt?
That's right.
Roger, you got something on him. You know something about Frank. Am I right or am I stupid?
Nick, nobody thinks you're stupid.
Roger, I'm not Jack Finelli. When I ask a question, I get an answer, huh? And if I don't get an answer, I tend to lose my humanistic instincts.
All right. Let's say that I did find something that might have been embarrassing to Frank.
Uh-huh.
Perhaps that was a deciding factor in him lending me the money, but it was a loan, Nick, and I'm going to pay it back.
How? Out of your winnings?
I'm in a bad streak. My luck will change.
Roger, why don't you share with me whatever it is you know about Frank Ryan?
No. I couldn't do that.
I am really very curious.
Nick, you wouldn't be interested.
You'd be surprised at the things I'm interested in.
Nick, come on.
All right, I'm sure it can wait till another day. So I can wait. But sometime soon, you'll tell me what it is to make up for this.
Why don't we just forget about it? Now, no harm's been done.
Not to you.
Not to anyone, I hope. Look, I gotta go now.
Hey, Roger. You're building up a small gambling debt with us.
Just one good day. That's all I need, Nick. Just one good day, and everything's gonna be even.
Well, I hope you have it. I mean, you wouldn't want to build it up too much, would you?
That's pretty.
What are you doing here at this hour?
Can I come in?
You may not.
Jill, wait. Did you read the story?
Everybody in New York City has read that story, Jack.
Have you talked to the Ryans?
I spoke to Maeve earlier.
What'd she say?
She is angry and upset and has every reason to be.
All I did was ask the questions.
Look, Jack, if you feel like crusading, there are about 1,001 issues in this city at the moment to concern yourself with. So go and play investigative reporter someplace else.
Mary?
Hi. What are you doing up?
I heard you on the stair.
I thought I was hungry.
No wonder. You hardly touched your supper.
But I'm not.
There's seed cake.
Is there?
I'll cut us both a bit.
Oh, Mother.
Oh, so sorry, darling. I'm so sorry.
It hurts.
I know.
Just when I was beginning to think I understood him. And he was trying to trust me.
Yes, and you did trust him, didn't you?
Yes. He's not an easy person to get along with, you know? He's had a very tough time. He's built up all those defenses. But underneath it all, I thought there was someone there who was loving. I don't think so anymore.
Oh, it's hard, isn't it, to give up the idea of a loving friend.
I went over there this afternoon, and he got mad at me for mixing the story up with us.
Did he now?
I was so angry. And then after I'd gotten home and started throwing things around the room.
Yes, we heard you. We thought it was best not to interrupt.
I calmed down enough. And I suddenly came to a realization. Made me very sad. Jack doesn't understand what he's done. Not to Frank. Not to me. After all of this time, he still doesn't understand that he might just as well have written that story about me.
Well, he's had no family, darling. He can't understand that.
I feel as though I've lost something.
In Port Charles, revenge is a priority, relationships are disposable, and good medical care is a necessity. Keep up with this fast-paced city with an all-new episode of General Hospital, weeknights at 10 on SoapNet.